Yo, what's going on, my buddies? Totaljophes coming at you with a quick video about 10 things that I really want to see in the upcoming Final Fantasy 15. Okay, so if you've seen, pretty much any of my videos, you probably know by now that I'm a massive JRPG fanatic, and as such, Final Fantasy 15 is by far my most look forward to game, ever. I mean, I'm also definitely looking forward to the Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3, as well as Persona 5, and there's a lot of other games I'm looking forward to, but Final Fantasy 15, I've been waiting 10 years for this shit, so I'm super psyched that it's coming out in just about 2 months now. And I've got to say, though, there's a lot of things that past Final Fantasies have done that, that made those games great. So there are a few things that I really want Final Fantasy 15 to have as well. So without further ado, here are 10 things that I want to see in Final Fantasy 15. Number 1, and this isn't in any order, just literally it's a list of 10 things. But I want some more variety in the combat. Now, I played Episode to Sky, I played the Platinum demo, and whereas both demos I really enjoyed, both demos also left me wanting a little bit, you know? Episode to Sky, a lot of the moves, save for Drain Blade and Jump, felt a little, honestly, useless. I mean, they didn't do a whole lot, to be perfectly honest. They were fun to play with, but they didn't serve a whole lot of a purpose. Drain Blade was good for actually healing, and Jump had some amazing crowd control. Of course, that, I forget what move it's called, but the one where you use the Great Sword and twirl around a bunch, that had some good crowd control as well. But I noticed that enemies tended to dodge Jump less, so that was pretty good. But, and then we had, our first display of, switching weapons whenever the hell we want in Platinum Demo, as well as Magic. And I've got to say, whereas both of those are fun, once again, it still left me wanting, I want a little bit more variety in Final Fantasy XV's combat. I don't want just basic combos and switching weapons as more just for the hell of it. In Platinum Demo, it didn't serve much of a purpose. I mean, yeah, the hammer hit a little bit harder, but was a lot slower, so, between that and the sword, it balanced out pretty well, so there wasn't really much of a reason to switch between them, save for just cosmetic preferences, or just because you like a hammer more than a sword, or a sword than a hammer. And then there's those secret weapons you can get the giant shuriken thing, and that was pretty cool, but it's not enough, just some slight variations in what you're using, and the occasional useful move and magic. Really, I kind of want a little bit more out of what they're making it into an action RPG. Okay, Devil May Cry, for instance, an action game, is always giving you so many different fighting styles, so many different things to choose from, and it was amazing. Whereas 15 seems like it is trying to give you a little bit more variety, but it doesn't serve a purpose, Things all equate out to be about the same strength when it comes to switching weapons. Now, I'm really hoping that in the main game we'll actually have weapons with effects on them, or maybe you can enhance them, or maybe they'll have full-on different movesets that provide Noctis different abilities and shit. That would be cool. And whereas I'm not against Episode to Sky's method of just having a move that you can select and use whenever you want, I want a few more things. I really would have loved there to be some sort of maybe combo system or something. Not an overly complex one, just say Dynasty Warrior style, 2 buttons, more than just mashing one fucking button over and over again. It was fun, but I wanted more, So I'm really hoping for a little bit more variety in the combat, so yeah. Number 2, I want that amazing Final Fantasy story. Now, there's going to be some debate whether or not certain Final Fantasies have better stories than the others, or in some cases whether or not a Final Fantasy has a good story at all. But at least in my opinion, most, if not all, of the previous main title Final Fantasies have had a pretty badass story. I mean, starting from Final Fantasy I with the time travel and the time loop between Garland and Chaos, Final Fantasy II fighting the Empire and him conquering heaven and hell, that was badass. Final Fantasy III, going around the world, the Crystal Tower, the World of Darkness. I could go through each Final Fantasy, but, you know, I'm not going to because that would just probably fill up this entire video on its own. But I want Final Fantasy 15 to have a big, grand-scale, memorable story. Now, here's something that I'm really not liking about the story so far, but I'm not going to judge it until the actual game comes out. Hear me out. Final Fantasy II story. The evil empire is attacking. We must fight back. Okay? Final Fantasy IV story. The evil empire is attacking. We must fight back. Final Fantasy VI's story. The evil empire is attacking. We must fight back. Final Fantasy VII story. Not exactly the same thing as an empire, but the evil Shinra company is attacking. We must fight back. Final Fantasy VIII. The evil empire is attacking. We must fight back. Final Fantasy IX. The evil empire is attacking. We must fight back. Final Fantasy XII, 11, 14. All of those games have a core story of the evil empire is attacking, we must fight back. Now, yes, they take separate turns and twists, and they all curve into a completely separate story. But it all has that same central part where you're fighting an evil empire that's trying to conquer the world. And so far, Final Fantasy 15 seems to be following the same thing, with an evil empire that's coming to steal your crystal, and you have to fight back and take the crystal, so it doesn't sound that amazing so far. I mean, the worst example of this, as much as I loved Final Fantasy XII, was Final Fantasy XII, where the entire game is just you're fighting the Empire. And Final Fantasy II, whereas they had that, you at least got to go into hell at the end of it, but Final Fantasy XII, it really was just fighting the Empire the whole time. Which, it was still an amazing game, but I want Final Fantasy 15 to take a different turn than that. And I'm sure it will, because most of the other games did, but I don't want that to serve as most of the game. Type 0 is another good example of the evil empire is attacking, we must fight back, and whereas it does take a turn, it doesn't happen till the end of the game. And I want Final Fantasy 15's turn from that to take place earlier in the game to make it more grand scale, to make it so you're not just saving Noctis's country, but the entire world altogether. And not just from something like an empire, but from something like a god, or a super monster, or some sort of army of demons, or something more grand scale than something as simple as an empire, you know? I want something bigger and better with more bang for my buck than just that. So, here's hoping for an amazing story. And number 3, I want plenty of side shit in this game. I mean, they said that we're going to have plenty of gameplay hours, but I don't want it to just all be Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness side quests. I know I keep ripping on that game, as much as I do actually enjoy it, but it did a lot of stuff wrong. And I don't want to see 15 do the same stuff wrong. So, if we have a bunch of side quests, I want it to be Witcher 3 style side quests, where each side quest is unique and actually has a story to it. And it's not just, oh, I need 5 potions, go get me 5 potions, or, oh, I need 3 of what this enemy drops, go get me what that enemy drops. I don't want pointless fetch quests. I don't want something like, oh, kill this number of enemy, oh, collect this number of item, oh, go to this location and come back. I don't want simple shit like that. I want legit story-driven side quests like we got in Witcher 3. If CD Projekt Red can do it, a giant company like Square Enix can do it. I know they can, and I really want to see that. So, yeah, I really want just a lot of fun side things to do. Lots of fun side quests, lots of like bonus dungeons, like optional dungeons, lots of areas you can explore that don't necessarily need to be explored, but that you just do it because you want to. I want a lot of stuff that's optional, a lot of stuff that fills up the game. Like, if you want to go through the story, maybe you can finish it in like 40, 50 hours, but if you want to experience everything, I want it to take hundreds of hours, and for each hour to be entertaining in and of itself. So, let's really hope for that. Number 4, and this is going to be kind of a weird one, and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree, but hear me out. I want there to be a gay or lesbian character in the game. Now, I know I'm probably sounding like a social justice warrior as it is, and listen to me because I'm not going that far. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, they're oppressed, oh, this game's terrible for not representing that part of the community. I just think it would be kind of cool, you know? I really do like to give props to companies that are brave enough to put something like that in their game. So if Final Fantasy 15 did it, that'd be really cool. I think that would be a really huge step for like the LGBT community to have a gay or lesbian character in Final Fantasy 15. Like I said, it would just be a big step, you know? A company as big as Square Enix, with a game as big as Final Fantasy 15, taking the risk of putting a gay or lesbian character in there would be really cool. I think it would be really good for them. And again, I'm not going to go all SJW and be like, oh, they didn't do it, I hate it, they hate gay people, No, but I do think it'd be kind of good, you know? Or at least, like, bi or something. Like, I know Noctis isn't going to be, because we already know that he's engaged to Luna, and you can kind of tell when the other guys start talking about Luna to him that he's just kind of like, oh god. And you can kind of get a hint that most of the others seem to at least be bi, if not completely straight, because they definitely looked at Cindy a little too much and made some comments here and there, so, I don't think it's going to be any of them, if they have one at all, but I really would love to see some sort of character like that in there somewhere, you know? I just think it'd be really good. So, number 5, and this is a big one, I want an amazing villain. I don't want Bartandalus. I don't want, as much as I love Zand or Zonde, however you want to fucking call him, I don't want him. I want, I want a Sephiroth, I want a Kefka, I want a Kuja. I want a villain that you can feel their presence throughout the entire game, and there's this constant looming shadow over your head, and you can see the destruction that they're wreaking, and you know how big of a deal it is that you need to stop them. But I also want them to have, emotional depth to them. I don't want them to just be, staple, I want to destroy the world enemy number 500. I want them to actually have strong reasoning for this. I want them to actually be a well-developed character and not just somebody for you to hate. Granted, I want this character to make us hate them, but I also want to be able to see how this character ended up evil, to see how they went down that road, and to see maybe if they made different choices, how they could even be a hero or something, Give them enough depth, give them enough development, but make them powerful and looming and something that we can't help but fear and be in awe of. And I know I read something once about how they said that Final Fantasy XV's villain will be the strongest in the Final Fantasy universe, and that's a pretty hefty statement to make considering Lightning killed God. But I'm really hoping they'll carry through on that, but not just make him just your stereotypical evil guy that wants to destroy the world. So here's hoping for a really amazing villain, and maybe somebody we'll see in Dissidia one day. Now, number 6. Now this is kind of going a little bit along the lines of the side quest stuff, or just the side stuff in general, but more specifically, I want our open worlds, our big maps, to be full of things to discover, of things to do. I don't want giant open world, but just a giant open world with just monsters to fight. I don't want to go through an entire map with nothing in it. I don't want to go there and just kill a bunch of monsters, get to the other side, and have spent like 2 or 3 hours crossing that map just killing monsters. I want some interesting little side story things. I want some optional content, some dungeons, some scenery to check out. I don't want it to just be a giant grassland plain with nothing in it, And that's not a reference to Duskai. Duskai was good. I'm not saying that. No, what I'm saying is I don't want an actual just, giant grassland or maybe a desert or something with nothing in it, and it's just there to be there. I don't want something like that. I want some unique enemies in different parts of the map. I want some optional things that you can explore. I want some things that you go up to, and it's not main story, but you can kind of go up to and get a little cutscene of them talking about what it is, or how it affects the world, or something along those lines. What's a game that did that sort of thing that I know I'm thinking of one off the top of my head? I'll probably get back to that at some point, maybe not, but I know that there have been other games where there's just been random stuff laid out in the world you can go up to and investigate. Sadly enough, it's actually Destiny. I hate Destiny, but it did kind of add something in The Taken King where they had random side things that you can go up to, scan it with your ghost, and learn more about the world, and that was at least a good part about the game. So I would really love something like that, just random side stuff to give you more information about the world or to give you more content to play with. I'd really need that. I don't want basic bare open world just for the sake of it being open world. Now, number 7, this is just kind of a little side thing, kind of a little fun thing, but I want some past Final Fantasy references. Now, if you've been paying attention on YouTube and on the internet, you've probably seen some theories going around by this guy on YouTube that thinks that Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy XV are connected. Now, I don't go that far, But I will say that there is some images that make it seem like at least Diamond Weapon might be in Final Fantasy 15. And that's cool! That's a direct reference back to Final Fantasy 7. Whether that makes it connected, I don't know, but it's at least a reference. And I like references to past Final Fantasies, you know? I want to be going through Final Fantasy 15 and meet some dragoon named Kane, or, you know, go through and, say, find a Buster Sword, something like that, you know? I want some fun references to other Final Fantasies that I can sit there and be like, ah, nice, that was from a different game, that's cool. I just really love that, and a lot of other Final Fantasies have been able to give us that. Specifically, Final Fantasy IX is a very good example of that, but whereas it's not a huge thing, I really would love to see that in Final Fantasy 15. Now, number 8, and again, kind of a big thing, is I want a lot of lore in this world. I want to know each and every tiny little thing about it. I don't want anything left unquestioned or unanswered. I want to know how it was created. I want to know about their deities, if they have any. I want to know, you know, how monsters came into exist, how these countries came to be established, these kingdoms rose. I want to know everything, and I want this game to give us everything. I want so much lore in this game that I could get lost in it for hours. I want it to have, like, Star Trek, Star Wars level lore, you know, where you've got an entire universe to build around. I want that level of stuff because I've been looking forward to this game, and they've had enough time to plan out all the lore for this game. I get that they had development issues and they had to redo a lot of the game, but they've had more than enough time to plan out the lore, at least. So we better get plenty of that. Number 9, and I know this isn't going to be in the main game, and I'm hoping that maybe in updates or free DLC or something, but previously in 15's development cycle, I think it was even back when it was Versus 13, but you could actually play as the other fucking characters. You could play as Gladio, you could play as Prompto, you could play as Iggy, but now you can just play as Noctis. Noctis is awesome. I love Noctis, but I want to play as the other 3 too! I want to be Gladio and run and just fuck shit up with his giant sword. I want to be Prompto and dash around shooting shit. I want to be Iggy and be tossing knives everywhere and throwing a shit ton of magic. I want to play as the other characters. I know they said that it's just going to be Noctis. I know it's not going to be in the main game, but maybe in updates, maybe DLC, something. I want to eventually play as the others. And finally, number 10 is if this game is good enough. Only if this game is good enough, because we've seen what they did with Final Fantasy 13. I want sequels or story DLC. Something along those lines. I want to expand this game more. I want it to make it worth it that we've waited like 10 years for this shit and give us enough to make those 10 years just, you know, actually just mean something, you know? I don't want to wait 10 years for one game. I want to wait 10 years for a fucking mini franchise or something. Look at Final Fantasy VII. How many games that shit has in its franchise? And unfortunately, Final Fantasy 13. But Final Fantasy 13 is an example of when you make a sequel to a bad game, and I don't want that. If Final Fantasy 15 sucks, I don't want more games and story DLC. I don't want them to milk that like they did 13. But if it is good, I want more. I want them to have future plans for this game down the road. I want a 15.2 or a 15.3 or at least some story DLC or something, you know? So I'll stop myself there because I'm starting to make this video a little long, but those are 10 things that I really want to see in Final Fantasy 15. I'm super excited for the game. I've got the Ultimate Collector's Edition pre-ordered, and I at least hope it's going to be amazing. So, what do you guys think about the game? I'm sure a lot of you guys are looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't at all. Definitely leave all of that in the comment section because I want to know. I want to hear all of your guys' opinions. Definitely leave a like on this video because I definitely want to get the word out. I definitely want to make sure that other people know that, you know, Square Enix knows what the fans want for 15. And definitely subscribe because I'll be uploading multiple videos every week as usual. So that'll be about it. So until next time, stay pretty, my buddies.